Saying, particularly in my neck of the woods, that there are no friends at all in show business. Not really, you can't be, because you're all vying for the same jobs, the same applause if you're a theatre person or something like that. It just becomes very, very difficult. And of course, when you get sort of 4, 3, 2 women together, then it literally does ramp up. And it's not just assigned to women, let me tell you, it can be men. If you put 2 great singers together, you will find out that they will both bust a gut to make sure they get the long note, the lasting note, the final breath, whatever. It's all about competitiveness. As we saw recently over in the US, Meghan once again decided to hop along to speak to, us, the minions, telling us about really, well, what nobody really understood. But when you think about it, if you look at this particular segment of that particular conference, you can see exactly how the sisterhood was literally shot through the door. Let me give you a little bit of background. You see, before all of that, most of the people would have submitted things that they were going to be talking about, and people knew how the panel was going to flow, all of that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? Now, as we also told you, Meghan herself went under thorough media training, re-recording, recording, learning every nuance, every sigh, every, look up, all that sort of stuff. She knew exactly how she was going to look, where the light was, where the camera was, you name it, you get the picture. So then what happened was this. As you can see, Katie Couric, the former NBC anchor of news programs, basically threw it out to Meghan and said, "Oh, Meghan, I'm not sure if many people have heard you tell this story." Cruel or what? And basically said, perhaps you could share with us one more time a story about how you wrote to P&G. Yes, Procter & Gamble, the soap company, the story that nobody's ever heard, but of course, you could see the people thinking, oh goodness,
About when you wrote that letter to P&G, because I don't know if everyone's heard it, but it's such a great story at a very young age, what you did.
I was 11 years old, about 11 years old, and I'd seen a commercial on TV for a dishwashing liquid, and the boys in my class at the time said, it said, "Women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans." And the boys said, "Yeah, that's where women belong, in the kitchen." And at 11, I just found that infuriating and wrote lots of letters and put pen to paper, and they ended up changing the commercial to people all over America. And it's funny to look back at it now, because that was before social media, where you had a reach that was so much greater. It was just an 11-year-old with a pen and paper. But it just, I guess, goes to show that if you know that there's something wrong and you're using your voice to advocate in the direction of what is right, that can really land and resonate and make huge change for a lot of people. So your voice is not small, it just needs to...
And Meghan clearly, lost in her own thoughts, lost in her own performance, did not pick up on this. But I've been told from a very good source behind the scenes, everybody knew on the panel about this particular story. They'd learned from it from research, but apparently Meghan had not summoned up a better story, Really, the things she was talking about weren't necessarily relevant. So they said, well, just repeat that then. And of course, so she did. Now, as you can see, certain people on the panel were not particularly thrilled, including Brooke Shields, who looked slightly bored throughout listening to it again. The one bigger issue, though, that has never really been unfounded is this. Meghan claims, of course, that the company wrote back to her and, there was a big thing and they wanted to make a fuss of her and all that. She just wanted the ad changed. But really, there's no evidence of this. Procter & Gamble can't find any response back. Meghan herself maybe have some, and is that legitimate? Again, one has to question that, allegedly, with Meghan's former background and having a problem with the truth. You get the picture. But you see, if you wanted to know exactly how these things work, that was a room that really was kind of, shall we say, they needed her for the publicity, but they didn't necessarily want her once she'd started. You saw that with the woman moving away from the hug. Not everybody wanted to be hugged by Meghan, remember that. And it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because you see the sort of sisterhood, as they say, in these panels, it's all about we're speaking out together. They may be, but not all in unison. And as Meghan found out, re-watching this, I've been told, at that point she realised, from the point of Katie Couric introducing her story once again, that she simply may have been simply set up. Wonderful to know, isn't it? It took so long for her to realise that. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.